Connecticut, and Greenwich especially, is traditionally fertile ground for politicians looking for campaign contributions. Our next guest is from Greenwich, and he recently formed a PAC called Keeping America Competitive. His name is Len Tannenbaum. Current Capitol Bureau Chief Chris Keating was there for the PAC's first fundraising event in May. Thanks, both of you, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, let's just start off with the basics of first of all, why'd you form the PAC?
So I think a lot of people are angry about what's happened in sort of what the Congress and what the president has done to small business and alienating them. And what I formed the PAC to do was bring together small business leaders from the state of Connecticut and find out, first of all, what's affecting them and how to change this state's perception as one of the worst states to do business. So that's primary objective number one. And we're one of the largest small business lenders in the country, where I run a publicly traded company, which I founded 15 years ago in my basement. And we now have $800 million market cap, $1.2 billion in assets. And we're one of the largest small business lenders in the country.
Okay.
So the goal is, what affects small business? How can we make it better? What's affecting small businesses in Connecticut? Second, how do we fix education? And third, regulation. But the number one priority is business and jobs.
Well, let's settle something before we go any further. I mentioned super PACs. You're saying you're not a super PAC.
No, I'm not a super PAC.
Because
not because we're not super, but
you are.
But because a super PAC is really a bunch of wealthy individuals that pour a lot of money into advertising, which they cannot coordinate with the campaign. What we do is actual campaign contributions and support candidates for federal office. For example, we'll support Steve Upsetnik in the 4th District. We're thinking of supporting, of course, the winner in the 5th District, which was Congressman Murphy's district. Yeah. And I'm a big supporter of Linda McMahon.
Okay, so whoever wins in the 4th District, or the 5th District, you'll support.
Well, I like Lisa Wilson Foley. It's not whoever wins. They have to follow the ideals, because we're a bipartisan PAC. A lot of our supporters, I would say about a third of them, are Democrats. 2/3 are Republicans. What we don't want to do is think about this as left or right. We want to think of this as practical business solvers. And if you looked at our first big fundraiser, it had a number of prominent Democrats, like my good friend David Einhorn, and it had a number of great Republicans. And candidates from both sides were invited.
Tell us more about that. I was there that night. Linda McMahon was there. Lisa Wilson Foley was there. Mark Greenberg was there. Are you staying out of the primaries, basically? Is that what you're trying to do? And I was wondering, at a time of polarization, how are you making the decisions of who to support?
Well, I think that's the point. Is a lot of the candidates, unfortunately, from the Republican Party run to the right, go to the middle. A lot of from the Democratic Party run to the left and go to the middle. But the practical business solvers, the ones with business experience, will do what's right for the country and what's right for our state, not necessarily what's right for their party. And I think Senator Rubio said this very well on TV recently, where he says, look, I like my party, I love my country. And that's a very important distinction. We're going to have to do what's right for America. And we need the right people to step up to do that. And I'm going down to D.C. next week in conjunction with No Labels to listen to 5 Republicans and 5 Democratic senators, as well as to talk to Mitt Romney's head of policy and think about what can we do from a business standpoint to turn the country around.
How much money have you raised so far?
For the PAC?
Yes. Well,
not a lot. We only did one fundraiser, but we raised about $100,000.
And it's already been distributed, or?
No. We distributed some. The goal of the PAC, of course, is to distribute over time, but it's really to promote the ideals of what small businesses need. So that's what I was doing here today. We got to spend time with real businesses, with 10 employees and 30 employees and 300 employees. What is it that affects them? What are the important things to them?
One of the big things that affects them, I bet, is Obamacare.
Oh, it's the number 1, 2, and 3 thing when I did the Greenwich meeting. Here, I got to tell you, here the businesses were a bit more depressed. It was geography. It was a lot of people moving out of the state of Connecticut. I don't understand how, listening to Congressman Murphy, it drives me nuts to think that Connecticut people can sustain any tax increase when, as a state, our taxes have gone up and up and up and up. Connecticut's hurt more than the rest of the country. We've seen such a move up in state taxes. I think the people here are really hurting, and I don't know that they can handle a tax increase.
So you had a luncheon today here in Hartford with, as you were saying, a scope of business owners, and what were they saying was the solution for that? I mean, is it all going to be through the elections?
That's a great point. You know, the small business owners, the NFIB representatives, were frustrated. They're frustrated that the small business owners are not coming together in a voice. They're not being heard. They're frustrated that healthcare taxes are going up every single year. Tax rates are going up. There's more and more regulations that are driving them absolutely nuts. Every time a small business is formed in the state of Connecticut, the first thing you get is a $500 bill in a week. Now, that's not how this should be. It should be, congratulations for opening your business. We look forward to working with you. Here are all the resources the state can provide, not here's a bill for $500. So small business owners really want a voice, and they want this state to succeed. One small business owner was a second-generation, 51-year-old business in Hartford, and they want to pass it, and their children don't want that business.
I believe you've called yourself a moderate, and it's kind of a center, middle of the road pack, if I'm correct on this. What are your views, and where do you come down on Chris Shays, who's kind of known for a moderate record?
Well, look, I'm a practical Republican, is the way I'd like to say it. And there are practical Democrats as well. And practical Republicans and practical Democrats should work together on a practical solution for the country. Look, I've met with Congressman Shays. I think he certainly is, I would be outlined as a moderate. But he had his chance in Congress. I think I'd like to see Linda, as a business owner, really take that step forward and figure out, from a business standpoint, how do you turn the country around, how do you turn the state around? And I don't know that a career politician can do that. I think first of all, I don't believe in career politicians to begin with. I don't think that there should be infinite terms. I don't think there should be 20-year congressmen. I don't think there should be gerrymandering. I think Congress is so polarized because of the way the country is set up from gerrymandering. That's why the Senate is where you're going to find a solution. You had Simpson Bowles on today and talking about their bill that didn't get passed, and they said they have 45 senators that would pass their bill, but only 150 congressmen. So that says something.
So you'd want term limits in both the House and the Senate?
I love that idea.
What do you say to people who don't like PACs? They don't like PACs, they don't like super PACs, because I think it makes it seem that the more money you have, that your vote counts more than mine.
Well, first of all, my PAC can't deliver more than $5,000 per candidate. My PAC more is the building of a message than an aggregation of massive funds.
Well, what a dance that must be for you to have these wealthy Republicans who obviously, many of them, if not most of them, have the really conservative, strongly conservative ideals, and you're putting them in with Democrats who obviously are, going the other way.
Yeah.
And how do you do that with this kind of PAC?
That's a great question.
You're uncharted territory, I think.
I guess that's why they brought you in the show, because that's a really insightful question that hasn't been asked yet. It's extremely difficult to balance the two. And David Einhorn and I have this conversation of what is a practical mind. He calls himself center-left. He calls me center-right. And what is the center? And how do you define the center? And I will tell you.
As broad as you want it to be, right?
Well, but I'll tell you, in all these conversations with Democrats and Republican business leaders, and a lot of business leaders are Democrat, there's not a lot of disagreement. There really isn't. I will agree with the Democrats on a lot of different issues. For example, closing tax loopholes on the rich. I happen to agree with that. I pay 40%. Mitt Romney pays 15%, and Obama pays 20%. I pay double Obama's tax rate.
You need another accountant. Just kidding.
You're probably right. But
Len, it was great talking to you. Very interesting. We appreciate you coming today. Thanks
Absolutely.
A lot for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
There are lots of candidates, and there's lots of drama in the race for the open seat in the 5th Congressional District. Coming up, Republican Mark Greenberg is going to join us.